disgusting language they use, and the girl in the video is laughing about it and egging her friends on. And for them not to have the moral fortitude to realize this is absolutely wrong, something's going wrong, it appears, with at home and what they're being taught, and for them to think this is okay, we've got a lot of teaching to do with our children, and I think, as I said, it stems from the breakdown of the American family.
Simone, you think I'm being too hard on these kids?
I am very hesitant to cast these young people as folks who come from broken homes. For all we know, they have a mother and a father who work very good, hardworking jobs, who have instilled or tried to instill good moral values in them, and the young people just aren't listening. So I think, one, we need more facts, and I think, two, we have to be careful to cast our young people, particularly our young people of color, to the side. Look, this was wrong, it was sickening, it was grotesque, they need help, they need to be punished, but we also have to have an elevated conversation about the surroundings and the things that our young people are dealing with every day, and the images that they're seeing. They might not watch the news, but they're on Twitter where the president-elect is. They're on Facebook. They're listening to the Breakfast Club. They're listening to the radio. And all of these nasty, nasty things that we've talked about, that we've witnessed over the last year, they have seeped into our children. They're in our schools. And it is coming to bear its ugly head in very, very egregious ways.
She's saying, and Peter's saying, that this is, although they're not making excuses for these kids, this did not just happen in a vacuum.
Well, look, I think it's fair to have a conversation about our culture. I think that whether it's video games or violent movies, that those things, music, whatever, I'm not a prude, but those things all have an impact. I'm a little bit concerned, though, about the way that this conversation is going right now. I think that if this was a different situation, if you had white teens who had tortured and brutalized an African-American young man, and those white teens had talked about Obama and had been laughing, I don't think we would be having a conversation about how, our political discourse is so toxic, and maybe these kids saw things on Twitter about Obama. And so
Simone's talking to you.
When I watched that video, I would say that's true, because you know what, the relationship of black people to America is very different than the relationship of white people to America. We're talking about years, 200 plus years of slavery, 87 plus years of Jim Crow. And I'm not making excuses for these things, but it is not the exact same thing. We have to talk about these at elevated levels. We can't boil it down to someone saying something disparaging about the first black president of the United States of America when the current president-elect questioned his authenticity as an American. That has some layers to it.
I just think that in context here, having watched that video, and the first or second thing maybe that you bring up is to inject maybe these. The impression I'm getting, at least from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that maybe they were asking for this. Maybe Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
I'm sorry. Let me clear this real up. I've never said no one was asking for it. The first thing that I said was, this is sickening, this is disgusting, it was wrong. But what I did say was, we don't know if it's a hate crime.
Okay.
That is very
Peter, you're not usually this quiet, and Peter's been sitting here absorbing this.
It's so disturbing that honestly I have difficulty just kind of having a conversation about it. I think that they're two completely different conversations. There's a conversation about the horror of what these kids did, which is a horror, period, end of conversation. There's a totally different conversation about where we're heading as a society, where we are becoming more racially divided than we were even a few years ago, which I think is tragic. And I think, yes, Donald Trump bears some of the blame for that in a way that another Republican candidate, another Republican president wouldn't have, because of some of the frankly racist things that he's done. That has nothing to do, however, with in any way mitigating the horror of what this event was.
All right, thank you. That's going to have to be the last word. I'm out of time. Thank you very much. We come right back. A dramatic day in court today as convicted